Welcome to Soulfire Wisdom with Kate Olson. As an evolving spirit and change adventure navigator, it is Kate's mission to empower and guide you on your path and inspire your truest passions. She will encourage you to share your gifts, speak your truth, and ignite your inner wisdom and purpose. She hopes to do so with a little humor and grace and her own soulfire passion. Kate talks with amazing guests who have embraced the pursuit and are fanning the flames of their own passion, purpose, and soulfire wisdom. Now here's your host, Kate.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Soulfire Wisdom and Tips, Tricks, and Triumphs Tuesday. We've been having a little bit of a windstorm here where I am. So hopefully the stream will, keep going and we won't have any interruptions. If this is your first time listening, I'm a hypnotherapist, NLP practitioner, Reiki master, and a life coach. But I like to call myself a change adventure navigator because I love guiding people through obstacles and adversity to find their path, purpose, and peace. This week, my tip comes from a little bit of self-discovery. Since I've been busy with moving and a lot of changes this year, I sort of got out of my usual routines, and I didn't really notice that I wasn't doing them. And what I want to talk about is the importance of rituals in your life and what they uh, do for you. I noticed just last week, actually, that I'd totally gotten out of my normal morning ritual. And, I don't really know when I got out of it or, um, why I didn't notice that I wasn't doing it anymore. But I decided to start doing it again. And my morning ritual is um, and the first thing I do is when I wake up is I make sure that I smile, and then I think of things that I'm grateful for. And then I think of things that I'm excited about that I'm going to do that day. And then I get up and I turn on the music because I love listening to music, and I actually have a morning playlist. And then I do my regular, um, you know, get up, wash your face, brush your teeth, that kind of thing while I'm listening to music. And then I make some coffee or tea. And then I look at my phone. In the course of things, had gotten out of that like pre-ritual part of things. And because I seem to always be in a hurry and have more things to do than time, I had started, looking at my phone the first thing in the morning. And so, in the course of reinstating my ritual this week, I've noticed that it's kept me a lot more calm and grounded. And so, I think that is what the rituals, and they're all personal, that we have in our lives do for us. They keep us grounded, and we know what to expect. So if you find yourself feeling chaotic or anxious, think about whether you have those rituals to connect to in your life. So that's my little tip for this week. We have a great show planned. My guest is Coralee Kulman, and she's a coach, an author, a teacher, and a speaker. She calls herself the Come Alive Coach and is the author of a 3-book series, her Come Alive trilogy, which was released in April of this year. She's certified in Neuro-Linguistic programming and life coaching, and she also has a wealth of life experience. She uses to help clients to achieve profound results. Through her Come Alive register program and personal empowerment process coaching system, she turns the negative thinking, people, and events in clients' lives into life-changing positives. So I am excited to introduce her now. Hi, Coralie. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing good. Thank you. What a nice, I loved your tip. Wow. Yeah, and I
But
know,
sometimes we have to follow our own advice.
yes, yes. And I do a morning and an evening ritual, and it's life changing.
Yes, definitely. So to get started, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and what brought you to your current path?
Yes, I started off pretty shaky. I was molested as a little girl, and I had a domestic violence in my first marriage, and I ended up being suicidally depressed, PTSD, just lost. The thing that kept me going was I thought I was smart. I am smart, but smart enough and curious enough to figure out how life was supposed to work because I didn't think it was working the way I know. and uh, and it was also sort of, uh, I'm 77 years old, and in that time I reported being molested. They didn't even talk about it, let alone deal with it. And I always felt that my mother was sort of a wounded soul, that she couldn't be my mother, and so I think I set out on some unconscious level to learn how to fix her and fix myself so she could be my mom, and that's what kind of motivated me. And you know what, it's paid off. I Whenever I struggle, what is it I'm learning here? What is it that works and what doesn't work? So that's how I got started. And then 7 years ago, I took the Neuro-Linguistic Programming Practitioner class and opened up. Opened up.
Okay, so that's what led you to the coaching, was taking that neuro-linguistic programming class.
Yes, I'd always wanted to be a counselor, but having 3 kids and all these things that went on in life, I just never could get to into a program that and become a psychologist, and that's all they did in those days. But when coaching became popular, and I realized how valuable my life experiences and how I got out of the big holes I was in, I
Mhm.
decided to give it a try, and it's been very rewarding.
So you call yourself the Come Alive Coach. Can you tell us, what that means and
Sure.
why you call yourself that?
Well, on my back wall, it's a quote by Howard Thurman. Don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive. Then go do it. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive, and
Ah, okay.
that's how I got. And because I, was so ignorant about how life worked when I was a young adult, um, I always wanted a life manual. So I don't just deal with, I'm not a business coach. I deal with everything. The components of coming alive are your emotions, your mental focus, your physical well-being, your spiritual awareness, your relationships, and about how to manifest. And so it just fit. It just fit.
So tell us a little bit about your books that you just released. Why a trilogy, what each of them is about, and
Sure, sure. Well, I've written several book length uh, one, and mostly it turned out to be some personal growth in writing them. I wrote a book called Angels Kick Butt, Get Out of That Rut, because I was stuck. I was stuck. In fact, I think I may put it, revise it and put it up as a little short book at some point. Um, but I'd always wanted to write. I think it was an English teacher that got me going because I did a presentation and I had so much fun speaking and sharing. And so I did what I thought I would do. I created essentially a life manual, but it's based on the concept I call blank spots, which is just your baggage, your unconscious messages, misunderstandings, and I help people just root them out, get them out, and then reframe them. Because the mind is really trying to help you. It won't be giving you put down messages. It's saying, you start feeling bad. And I go into what is it I'm trying to understand here? And it's a positive thing. Always it's trying to signal. So I put all this stuff together and it was so big, my publisher decided that maybe we needed to break it up. So book one is about how to create change in your life. And it's a 5-step process, and it helps you to understand what your blank spots are and how to find them, how to get new information. Book two is about those components of coming alive, the emotions, mental focus, all of those. And the last book is about relationships, and even the one with yourself, because isn't that a real important one? And what it basically does is bring out things that I see people get stuck in, and I create different scenarios and how you might be able to think differently about it. And it's been a joy, and it's quite different to be always wanting to publish to actually being published. Wow.
yeah, yes, definitely. So I wasn't going to ask this question, but I will just because, it popped into my head. so, so you actually started your coaching when you were 70 years old.
That's
So
correct.
I had people ask me, why because I was a successful business sales and marketing consultant before I did this. And I had
Mhm.
people ask me, why I started doing something totally new when I should be thinking about retiring. So why did you decide to, start?
Well, I retired a few years before that, and we went on a 4-year motorhome around the states adventure. And when I got back, it was like, it's boring. My background is I was a city clerk for a city for a while.
I didn't understand that.
Sorry. I'll turn it off. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I I I had always wanted to share and help people get out of the holes they find themselves in, and so we got back, and I had a friend who was into neuro-linguistic programming, and they were having a program, and it was like, whoa. And then I took the practitioner test, and then my daughter-in-law was in a networking group, and I thought, let's do it. And it's just grown and built, and I don't know what I'd do if I didn't have coaching and books and things to do. It keeps me young and thinking, and I'm always learning something new. I mean, in the past year, I've decided I wanted to reverse diabetes and high blood pressure.
Oh, wow. Good.
And I've gone from,
Walk the talk.
yes, I've gone from 5 medications to 1, and that one's going away soon too.
Great. So what are a couple of concepts that you know can change people's lives?
The two is, well, how do you feel about challenges that come into your life? I think that they're the steps towards moving forward. And a lot of people, they get lost, oh, I got this problem, there's something wrong with me, that kind of thing. So I really work with people about changing their attitude about challenges and obstacles. Whenever you set a goal, your mind is going to bring up what's in the way. You think, oh, maybe it's telling me I shouldn't do it. No, it's trying to tell you something new to understand. And it just, it's been such a life-changing. I remember when I started thinking in those terms, it was like, oh, okay. Anytime something would come up, I'm, well, okay, my favorite saying, what is it I need to understand here? And I really trust my intuition, and I get answers every time. And the other concept is what you focus on increases. This is nothing new. But when I am very sensitive when somebody is talking about something that's in a negative vein, or about somebody in a negative vein, and it really teaches me where we need to go. And those two concepts are probably the basics that I work with, other than, of course, the blank spots and understanding them.
Yes, and it's amazing because we all actually do know those two things. I mean, we know them as children,
Yes.
and then sort of through life we forget about it. Like, take a toddler, put an obstacle in front of them. What do? They look for ways around it. And
Absolutely.
they're totally focused on what they want, on the
And that's the other thing, what do you want? Not what you don't want. What do you want?
yeah, they're not thinking about all the reasons why I can't have it.
Absolutely. And a lot of times with I registered my process. It's called Personal Empowerment Process, PEP, goes with life. It simply is taking the negative thoughts you have circling in your head, the people in your life that you struggled with, the events in your life, and I simply say, if you knew for sure that your mind was really trying to tell you something positive, what might it be? And then they learn quickly to listen to their intuition, and they'll say something, and then we decide to give it a name, and the funnier the better. I have someone who calls his times when he's feeling sorry for himself, and no disrespect to Jerry Springer, but he calls it his Jerry Springer time. and but it I've had people say, after we've done this process, I've had therapy and I haven't gotten as far as I've gotten. You've changed my whole view of life. And I have a lot of people say, a year later, I'm a different person than I was, because I just gave them some life skills.
Yes, it's amazing how much a little shift in thinking can change
Yes,
your life. So,
absolutely, absolutely.
what kind of clients do you normally work with? And can you, well, that question, what
Okay. Uh, well, I generally do individuals, but I have done couples, and it's been a real journey because the main thing that gets in the way with couples is codependency. You know, they're thinking that the other person should do it their way. Is a bit one way to put it. But the kind of client I have is someone who recognizes that there could be more. There could be more. That maybe there's more about life that they don't understand, and that they want it. You know, I really assess how much they want it because it's not easy. And for example, in my journey to reverse diabetes and high blood pressure, I had done a lot of emotional work because from my childhood and those issues, I comforted myself with food. I had a lot of connections, emotions to food, motion, you know, and I thought, oh, I'd done a lot of work. Oh boy, did I discover that I had a whole disassociated self, not the diagnosis, but a part of me that wanted to mother me and keep me protected from the traumas by numbing myself with food. And so I gave her a new job, is what I did.
good, good. Yes. So, do you have like a greatest success story with a client that you'd like to share?
Well, I have one. Just I have a lot. If you want to go to my website, it's CoraleeKulman.com. You'll see a whole bunch of testimonies. But my favorite story is a dear friend who became a dear friend. She and her now fiance, going to be married in May, were having struggles. And she was extremely codependent. And she at first thought I was telling her that she was mentally ill. And I said, no, codependency can go from, oh, you know, doing things for people that they should be doing for themselves, to taking over their lives and having them supposed to be just like you and kind of thing. And she just shifted out of that, and they have the greatest relationship. And the thing is, he would clam up when she'd get into that, which made it worse, you know. So I consider that, especially the fact they're getting married. And she came to me recently, and she was struggling again a bit. She had this whole book full of stuff for her wedding, and bless her heart, you know, she's good at what she does. And I said, you know, when I got ready to publish my books, I had so much to do because there's a lot that the publisher, my publisher has endless talents, but there's things I needed to do, and I was overwhelmed because I'd never done them before. So I made a list, and then I separated them out into categories and days, and then I took a little bit each day, and I suggested that to her, and she called me up a few days later and said, Coralie, you're a genius. I said, well, I've been called brilliant, not genius, but I'll take it.
Compliment. Definitely.
And I that just warms my heart that people, because we all, not all maybe, but a lot of us have had difficult childhoods or misunderstood childhoods or personalities that rubbed differently and caused us to have these messages about ourselves, and so it's like peace and freedom is just the beginning.
Yeah. It's amazing when you, I guess, find your way out of those patterns you didn't know you were stuck in.
Absolutely. And you know it, and I trust my process, and the thing is, I want it. I want peace and freedom, deeply, and I'm persistent, and I'm willing to be open to my misunderstanding.
Yes. So, what is the biggest challenge that you've discovered in the work that you're doing now?
The biggest challenge is probably probably zeroing in on the direction. I have a process. I'm very intuitive. I'll sometimes know ahead of a session exactly what I need to talk about, because I just feel like my mind is working for me. And so the biggest challenge sometimes is to make sure that I'm going in a way that they can assimilate it and move. And then, like, I have someone who struggles with her relationship with her deceased dad, and it's sort of like sometimes you have to, well, that let me pinpoint it even better. Sometimes that you have to say the truth. And I believe you can say anything as long as you do it respectfully. And it was like a question to ask is, what are you receiving by still being unforgiving of your father? I had to ask myself when I had one failure after another with my food program. What am I getting from being in failure? What am I receiving? So the biggest challenge is to find a way to get them thinking in a different mode. And it isn't always the same.
Yeah, definitely it is different for every person.
Yes, yes.
So, what is the biggest reward or gift that you've gotten from the work that you're doing now?
The biggest reward is I say, life can't get any better, but it will. And that, it just, I learned something new. Every client, I'll have a run of clients like the codependency, and then I'll have a run of clients that are really down on themselves and don't have a voice, and so they just feel like they're caged into, can't say what they need, and the biggest rewards is seeing them realize that they can get out of it, and I just feel I just it just warms my heart.
Yes. So, you've mentioned getting your NLP and life coaching certification.
Hmm.
Where did you get your training?
Well, I got my NLP training through um, Dr. Matt James through the Empowered Partners, and he goes around the world and gives seminars, and he came to Seattle, so I went, and then my life coaching was an online experience by someone who is into NLP. And it was excellent. It was because I resonated, of course, with what he was saying, and his is called American Union of NLP, and it was excellent. And and what was good was it had been, because I did this during the pandemic when I had so much time. uh, it was like I understood it because I had come to those conclusions for myself in my work for the past 5 or 6 years from that point.
Okay. Well, always good to have those.
Yes.
So this might seem like an off the topic question, but I've been asking my guests for a while, so I'll
Hmm.
ask you as well. So, what has surprised you most about life so far?
What has surprised me about life? I think coming from a place of low self-worth, of I even was into self-loathing because at one point I weighed 315 pounds, and I've let go of well over 100, and the rest of the diabetes and high blood pressure will go with the rest of the weight. Um, the um, I forgot the question. Oh dear.
What has surprised you most
What
about
surprised me the most? What surprised me most is how powerful our mind is, how powerful we can be. And it was not a concept that I would even accept. In fact, when I originally started writing and all these other books that I had personal therapy through, um, I I wondered, uh, who am I to say these kinds of things? Who I don't. It was just so when I realized that we all have within us the empowerment, the confidence, the answers. That was surprising to me because it wasn't something that I focused on at all.
Great. So, if you could leave the listeners with one thought from today's show, what would you want that to be?
Know that if you want change, if you want to do something different or have something different in your life, go for it, because there isn't anything except if you're 5'2" like me and you're thinking of being a basketball player, that wouldn't work. But literally, you can have just about anything you want.
True. So, if people want to get in touch with you or find your books, how would they do
You can probably the easiest way is to go to my website. It's CoraleeKulman.com. The books are on there. The links are on there to get. They're on Amazon. And right now we're running a Kindle sale for 99 cents for each book. So here's a good opportunity.
Okay, and your Coleman is spelled Kulman.
Kulman.
So a little different. So thank you so much for being here today and talking about this.
Oh, you're welcome. I really enjoyed it.
And so I have a little quote for people to take with them, and it just happens to be the quote that Coralie said earlier. I think when I saw it, I thought, there isn't a better one than that. So it's, don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive. Then go do it, because what the world needs is people who have come alive. And that was said by Howard Thurman.
Yes.
And I see totally how that motivated you.
Yes. Oh, yes.
So we have another great show planned for next week. Next week, my guest will be Rayanne Hall. And Rayanne does a bunch of things. She's an insurance agent, but she has a networking group, and she has a foundation to motivate young women. And her most recent endeavor, she's an author and a speaker, but her most recent endeavor is her podcast called The Optimistic Choice.
Cool.
And so we're going to talk about why she selected that topic for her podcast, and a little bit about what, what her mission and purpose is with that.
Cool.
So tune in next week, 3 p.m. Pacific time, and you'll be inspired. So I'm just going to say bye for now. Thanks again, Coralie.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Soul Fire Wisdom with Kate Olson. We hope you enjoyed the show. If we made
That was great. Thank you.
today or sparked a new thought, we have succeeded in our mission. Join us next time when we'll share more secrets and truths and all the magic of transformation that is the journey to Soul Fire Wisdom. Always remember, be fierce in the pursuit of what sets your soul on fire.
Bye bye.